Yo, hey, what's up, guys? Today I want to go over the tank changes, but before I do, I want to be clear that this is the media tour build and not the final release. This build is like 2 or 3 months old. Everything is subject to change, and if something looks underpowered or has something wrong with it, there will be time even after the final release to change or buff jobs. So with all that being said, let's get started. So we're going to talk about Dark Knight. I love Dark Knight. I wanted Dark Knight to change a little bit. I actually wanted some off GCDs to be removed, maybe a GCD or two added, and that's exactly what they did. So the changes to Dark Knight were really positive in my opinion. They were in the exact direction that I wanted. However, there are some changes that did not happen that I think should have happened. I'll go into those after we talk about the new skills. So let's talk about the new skills first. So you have Shadowed Vigil, which reduces damage taken by 40%, lasts 15 seconds, same as Shadow Wall, but it grants Vigilant. And Vigilant is basically an XCOG. So it restores HP when HP falls below 50% or upon the effect duration expiration. So basically when you use Shadow Vigil, you're gonna get this buff called Vigilant. And if your HP goes below half, it will heal you for 1200 potency, which is pretty potent. Or if the effect expires, let's say you never go below 50% because healers are respecting content, they're keeping you alive, they're playing well, then it's just going to get a free heal. So either way, you will get the heal. So that is very good. This is a clear upgrade in every way, shape, or form, and even the after effect is really good. Disesteem, this is the super Shadowbringer, for lack of a better way to say it. So this will be a GCD. This is a GCD. And I'll show you all of this stuff in a minute. If you notice here, you can, the Living Shadow, well, now you can pre-pull your Living Shadow, which is fucking awesome. You do not have to wait for the gauge anymore, which is really, really fucking cool. So the opener for Dark Knight is going to be pretty much the same, except for you're going to add Living Shadow in there somewhere. So actually, it's going to be just a little bit more annoying because on top of TBN, which I'm going to fucking rant a lot about that, on top of TBN, you will have your Shadow to pre-pop. However, you will not have to pre-pop Blood Weapon and Delirium, or Delirium, because Blood Weapon and Delirium are the same thing, which is really awesome. So basically, this is a GCD Shadowbringer, and once you use Living Shadow, your Living Shadow button will change into Disesteem. It's very powerful, deals physical damage to all enemies in a straight line before you with a potency of 800 for the first enemy and 50% less for all remaining enemies. Then you will get a Delirium combo. So this is what we saw in the benchmark trailer. So whenever you pop Delirium, your Blood Spiller will change into Scarlet Delirium, which is going to be a 600 potency ability, followed by Comeuppance, which is 700, and then Torque Cleaver, which is 800. So this happens every Delirium. I will say this though, guys, this effectively is the same as popping Blood Spiller, but because the move is different, it makes the job feel better. Now that could just be bias, like that could just be like, you know, obviously that's going to be subjective, is like I think it feels better, but spamming Blood Spiller is obviously getting really, really fucking old. I kind of wish they would have done something like this with Fell Cleave, honestly, but considering the fact that you have like different Fell Cleaves, like you have Inner Chaos and Primal Rend and Primal Ruination, it kind of gets away with that a little bit better, but only spamming Blood Spiller gets really old. At least to me it does. So this combo is really, really cool. Finally, Impalement. This is replaced by that AoE Quietus. Quietus will be replaced by Impalement. Now this is really, really cool to do this. It's really fun to use. Dark Knight DPS wise is almost exactly the same. They did remove Plunge. I'll go into that as well, but the removal of Plunge is fucking awesome, man. They should remove damage from all gap closers. Warrior and Paladin still have their damage on the gap closers, but Gunbreaker and Dark Knight does not. So in the Dark Knight burst window, you do not have 2 plunges to spam, and you do not have Blood Weapon anymore. So that right there is 3 off GCDs that you no longer hit, which is awesome. And you have an extra GCD, Disesteem. Those changes are really, really good in my opinion. Living Dead is the same. Blood Weapon, they change it to 3 stacks instead of 5, so you only get 3 now, but is that gonna matter? Not really, because it's only gonna matter in lower level content. So does it matter? No. We can also look at Delirium as well real quick. So grants 3 stacks of Delirium and Blood Weapon. Each stack allows the execution of Scarlet Delirium or Impalement, restoring MP. So it's literally just Blood Weapon plus Delirium. That's it. Also, each stack increases blood gauge by 10 and restores MP. So basically level 68, you will get this, and then you won't have Blood Weapon anymore. This literally turns, Blood Weapon literally turns into Delirium. So Shadow Stride, it rushes to a target enemy's location. I wish that you could also rush to a party member as well. I wish it was like Thunderclap from Monk, but this is still better than Plunge in my opinion. It's basically just a gap closer that is strictly for utility, which is what gap closers should be. Gap closers should not be spam for damage in my opinion. rotation. So this change is huge. So the rotation is almost the same. Yeah, so basically, as you can see, you can pre-pull your shadow here. So basically your shadow is going to take the place of like blood weapon. Maybe you won't pop it like 5 seconds on the countdown timer. It'll be closer to, it's gonna be it will be a little more annoying because like in a majority of fights you're gonna want to pre-pull your delirium, you're gonna want to pre-pull your TBN, and you're gonna want to pre-pull your pot, but there's like only so much time to like do all that, right? So something is gonna have to give. So I feel like it's just gonna be really tight. That's all I'm trying to get at, is because you don't want to pre-pull your shadow too early, or else you'll pull the boss, or you won't get it under buffs, or you know, whatever it may be. It'll be a little obnoxious, but is it the end of the world? Probably not. It just boils down to they need to change TBN. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's stick with the positives first. So you know, you're going to pre-pull your shadow. Again, forgive the clicking. I didn't exactly bring my mouse because I forgot. Then you're gonna pre-pull all that shit. You can see the gap closer there. So there's the first delirium hit, second delirium hit, third delirium hit, and here's diasteme. And then that's it. That's the opener. The opener should be almost identical, if not identical, to what it is now, except for those couple of very small changes, and you're not spamming plunge in the opener. It's very important to me that you guys get to see these abilities, because these abilities are really cool. I had... it matters to me. Like, this aesthetic stuff matters to me personally. Yeah, man, that just looks really cool. They did a really good job on those animations, I feel. Yeah, that shit looks dope, man. Anyway, so this is, again, the 2 minute here. 2 minute, you're going to pre-pull that, or not pre-pull, but, you know, pop it early. And then also, like, your shadow will eventually get that ability too. So at level 100, your shadow will be able to do it. Same thing as Shadowbringer. Oh, here's the Shadowed Vigil. So as you can see right here, this is the Shadowed Vigil, and then this is the XCOG or whatever. So I should get healed. Or vice versa, sorry. So this should be the heal, and there's the heal. So 37k. So pretty strong. Okay, so let's just get this over with, because I'm going to loop forever. I have hated TBN for years. It is annoying for no reason. It is obnoxious for no reason, and it is not powerful enough to warrant the risk of loss of damage. The lower cooldown very rarely matters. Very rarely matters. And the loss of damage should not be there. And it's always kind of annoyed me that Dark Knight has had all of these off GCDs, but then they also have the shortest duration cooldowns. So like, for example, you have Oblation that does 10%, and while having 2 stacks of Oblation can be useful, it's a lot of off GCDs, man, and especially just for a 10%, and it only lasts 10 seconds. And TBN is even worse. The fact that they didn't change this still is like crazy to me, because TBN, in my opinion, should not cost any mana, and it should not give you a free shadow. It should just be like Heart of Corundum. It should just be 25 seconds, and that's it. That's all it requires. It doesn't cost you anything to use it. I've always felt that way. Some people agree, some people disagree, but regardless, Square Enix believes that it still should cost mana, so we're gonna go another expansion with this probably. Regardless, it's still the same. To me, it sucks. So if you like TBN the way it is, then it will be that way in 7.0. In my opinion, hopefully they change it. Hopefully they change Oblation. Like, I wish they would just combine those 2 moves or something, honestly. I don't know. But it is what it is. One other thing that I wish they would have changed is actually Dark Missionary. I wish they would make it level 70. There's no reason why this should be level 76 when all of the other tank mitts are level 70. It's kind of stupid to me. It doesn't matter very often. The thing is whenever I look at stuff like this, it's not about, okay, well, how many times is it going to be useful? I don't like to think about it like that. I like to think about it is, why not? So like, why do the other tanks get their tank mid at level 70, but Dark Knight doesn't? Like, why can the other tanks use tank mid in like UCOB and level 70 content, but Dark Knight can't? There's no real reason. Like, they just don't care, or they just don't know. And that kind of bothers me a little bit. So this should be changed. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't be changed. Like, it's not the biggest deal. I'm probably making more of a big deal about it than it should be, but it just kind of bothers me a little bit. That's all. So I was really hoping to see Dark Missionary be level 70. I was really hoping to see Blackest Night also get changed, but it's not. So other than that, we still have Salted Earth, Salted Darkness. I don't really particularly care for that ability, but because they removed both plunges, they got some off GCDs. I don't really mind it as much anymore, I guess. But Dark Knight pretty much stayed exactly the same, except for it just got better, in my opinion, in like quality of life, and it's not as spammy anymore, which is really good. You still just 1, 2, 3 Blood Spiller or Delirium. You just pop all your off GCDs during the 2-minute burst. This is a 2-minute job for sure. It's going to have a huge burst every 2 minutes. But pretty much, man, Dark Knight's the same. So if you really like Dark Knight now, in my opinion, you'll like it better at level 100. If you're looking for more off GCDs to spam, you're not going to find it here. If you're looking for a rework, you're not going to find that here either. So if you like it now, but you don't want to hit as many off GCDs, I guess, then you will definitely love it at level 100. Again, just real quick, I want to say that this is not the final build. This is the Media Tour build. And if there is something that is maybe low on potency or seems a bit weird, do not assume it's not going to be changed. Do not assume that the job is dead. There's a lot of changes that happen from this build to the final release, and even more changes that happen after the first patch. Don't be doom and gloom if your favorite job, is bad on paper, because they'll probably change it. I was very happy about Dark Knight. It's still pretty much the same. It's even more fun in my opinion, and I'm really looking forward to playing it in Dawntrail.